Welcome to Linn Valley Radio. I'm your host. My name is Collin Vaughn. You're listening to Freedom of Information. We're going to cover the election coming up, just because I think there's some things that I'd like to point out to people, some things that I think that you should pay attention to. So I got something in the mail today, and it looks like a paid advertisement. I would have to say that it is. It says, vote for Linn Valley POA board positions. Vote by February 27th. And then it's got some of the candidates running on here. Michael Meister, which I know who he is. Daniel Smith, which I want to bring some attention to. His wife, her name is Claire, and she is actually on the city council. So I do find that it's interesting. I don't know that it's illegal, and probably not based on her husband is running for the POA. And I have met her husband one time at a POA meeting. He came up and shook my hand, and I will have to say that Claire presents herself to be a fine young woman in person. She has been nice to me in person, and I appreciate that. Dan, the day that I met him, he seemed to be nice. But it does concern me that he's running to be on the POA. I mean, I don't know. It's just strange that you have one on one side of the fence and one on the other, and to me that just seems dangerous. So sorry, Dan. Sorry, Claire, to make you feel rubbed wrong here. It's just awkward. To have your spouse running, being that there's two entities trying to control what's going on here. And then there's also Joel is still, I believe, running for his same position. And then there's also a gal named Patty. And then there are two write-ins. Myself, which I'm Collin Vaughn, and then there's a guy named James McCarthy that is running on a write-in. But the piece of paper I got in the mail only shows Michael, Dan, and James. And that's fine. It's their paid advertisement. They're allowed to do that. It didn't say that this was a paid advertisement, though. So interesting that is not disclosed on here. But that's neither here nor there. I just want people to know that if you're going to go vote for Dan, I want you to know that his wife is Claire, and she is on the city council. And I know I can't be the only one that thinks that that's really strange and really awkward. And if you want to put a stop to that, you should make sure that you do. And if you want to support it, go for it. But I'm here to tell you kind of my story as to what my goals are, what I would bring to the table for this community. Some people see me at odds, but what they don't realize is, I have the ability to help this city quite well in making good business decisions, because that's what I do for a living, is businesses come to me and tell me what their budget is, what their goals are, and I have to drive business for them based on their goals. So what I would do first is definitely put together a marketing plan that would allow the POA, just to give you a quick example, there is no reason at all that the POA should not be taking people out on trips from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. They should have people driving in from all over the place to come look at property here, get in a minivan if it's in the wintertime, and get on a limo golf cart and drive people around with 1 hour appointment, showing them, camping lots, building lots, multi-purpose lots, or if they're interested in a house or whatever. There should be some sort of marketing agenda going on with them giving trips around the lake every single Saturday. I mean, come on, folks. This is not hard to figure out. That would be one of the things that I would want to implement, and any resistance in that, to me, would be absolutely foolish, and it would be an insult to any property owners here, saying that we don't want to sell more property, acquire more dollars for us to make better improvements, as well as increase property values. Another target for me, and I think I've expressed this, some people want to say that, I'm a cop hater. I'm not a cop hater at all. I'm a believer in rights, and I understand my rights, and I think if I would challenge any of you to go out there and really start to understand what government is for. Government's primary goal is to protect people's private property. That's their number one goal, okay? So, that has to be focused on, in my eyes, and that hasn't happened. What the focus that I've received is harassment on my private property. So, yeah, it's driven me to be very upset. So, with that being said, yes, I would like the police on the other side of the gates because that's where they belong. This is a private gated community with private roads, okay? So, they really should be on the other side of the gates if somebody has a problem or they want to call 911, then bring them on in. If somebody gets stabbed or shot or there's a burglary or you need them to come in, go for it. But otherwise, you really don't need to be around here. It's not good for property owners to come in here and feel the presence of the police at the level that it exists. It's bad for business. It's bad for long-term business, and this is not rocket science, folks. You can get online and look and see for yourself. The police academy is having a real problem hiring people. Nobody wants to be a cop because cops have overstepped their boundaries. They have bullied people, and I'm not saying every police officer in here does that, but you guys know who I'm talking about. You'll notice that Dave, nobody says anything about Dave because Dave doesn't cause any problems, and that new guy, nobody says anything about him either because he doesn't cause any problems. So, it's real easy to figure out. If you've got a problem and you're not willing to fix it, then people are going to start pushing you to get out of the gates because they don't want your presence in here. And that's just natural. That's across the board in America, that when you get to the point that you've teeter-tottered, that more people dislike the cops being around than do, or they say, hey, you don't want to call the cops because bad things happen when you call the police. People get shot and killed all over the country. It doesn't happen here, but cops are murdering people at a high rate, more than terrorists, folks. Look and see for yourself. Your chances of getting killed by a police officer is much higher than a terrorist, and that's sad. And it's just not the way that it used to be. And there's got to be a change that's going to happen in order to cross that point. But I'm just telling you as a candidate what I would be pushing for if I got in. Yes, I want the police on the other side of the gates unless somebody calls, and I would love to motion to go to a security guard style. I think it's more attractive for property owners that if they got told that information that the police aren't allowed to come in unless there's an emergency, people go, oh yeah, that's cool. They like that feature. I can assure you that more than not would prefer it be that way. Now, maybe some of the older folks that have retired here and, maybe they don't get, any heat at all and they're old-fashioned, maybe they're all for the police. But your modern-day American, such as myself with a family and kids, we feel that, we never had a problem where we lived before. We lived in a town of 2,000 people, and there was only one sheriff on duty. Hardly anything ever happened. We were never harassed by the police. We lived there for 10 years, and we come to a smaller town that's a town of 799 property owners with full-time residents of 3, and there's way more police here and way more uncomfortableness. So, yeah, I would push for that. But I do want to touch on something that I think that you folks need to know, because it's kind of a kept secret, and I don't want to keep it a secret from you, but I want you to know that the stop signs in here, they're not real stop signs. They say stop on them and they're red and white, but those are not real stop signs, folks. They're not. If you get a ticket for running a stop sign, you will go to court and fight it and win, because it's not a real stop sign. It's not a state regulatory stop sign. These signs in here, they're all fakes. They're not even the right size, the right height. So if you ever get a ticket for running a stop sign or any of these bogus things that they pull you over for, until we get them on the outside of the gates, you guys you've all been hacked. You've all paid fines for stuff that really wasn't so. You've been fooled, folks. Go look and see for yourself. They got to have a stickered stamp on the back, and they have to be at a certain height and size, and these signs don't meet that criteria. So if you get anything in the future, just go to court and fight it, and they'll go ahead and fold. It's all been a sham, folks. You've been shammed. So I'm just helping you out here because I'm on your side. I'm all about things being done the right way, and it hasn't been done. and you've been lied to, and you should be very upset. It's not okay, and it's not cool. So check your own information. Don't validate it through me. I want you to understand what protocols are in place. And it's been going on for a long time. But anyways, I'm running on the ballot. Those are just a couple things that I would initially do. I would like to propose that a marketing plan is in place. If the POA is bringing in $1 million a year, there's no reason that you can't take 7% of that $1 million and hire somebody and put together a marketing plan that would go out and to generate new business. So maybe it's $1 million this year, and then that one person grew revenue by $500,000. Then all of a sudden you go from $70,000 a year to getting 7% of the 1.5, which would put you at a little over 10. So I'm all about a marketing plan, folks. That's just my style. That's what I do. I am a marketing professional. So my mind thinks in what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. Does it make money? No. Why? What are the analytics of it? I break it all down and figure out a game plan. So by picking Mr. Vaughn, I would help put together a marketing plan and a proposal that would make sense for the POA to go out and achieve new business. Like I said, there's no reason you shouldn't have anybody here every Saturday giving tours of the lake, and I don't see that happen, and I haven't seen it since the entire time that I've been here. I'm not going to blame it on a particular person or whose fault it is, but it should be happening, and it's not. So that's what I would do. I would also help increase the parks here for families. I don't feel that they are at a competitive level that they should be, and I think that if you're going to make it attractive for families to be here, that should be your number one priority. Parks and recs, that would include the pool, the playgrounds, the fun stuff for the kids. I know they just redid the somebody did, I don't know who was responsible for it, the putt-putt golf up there. Whoever did that, thank you so much. Because whenever I went up there to go play with my family, I could not stand that the grass was different from hole to hole. One grass was like really old, one was new, and it was really tall, and your ball would like twirl off some crazy direction. But whoever took the time and their money to do that, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. My family appreciates that. But we should really, the top priority should be taking care of family activities and making sure that we're very attractive and that we're very competitive to other areas to come out here. We have the upper hand as a community. We have the upper hand if we're doing it correctly. I mean, we have the right deck of cards. Some of the cards are missing. If our deck is fully loaded, we can take on anybody. This place is cool. That's real, folks. So, making the right decision for the right guy, I'm not here to tell you what you want. Obviously I have a special interest involved. I have a family. I have 2 kids, and I moved here because it's a recreational community, and that's what we signed up for. That's what this place was all about. I didn't sign up to move to a retirement community, and I know that my neighbor down the street made a post online the other day about, oh, you drive past my house in your go-kart and you rev your motor. Well, guess what? You live right by the four-wheeler park, but I didn't drive by your house and rev my motor. I'm in a go-kart, okay? It's either going or it's not going. There's no clutch, all right, that you're on the handlebars with. So I'm not revving anything at you, and if it comes off that way, I apologize. But you should, come on. You moved across the street from the four-wheeler park. It's gonna be loud. I'm sorry. And I know that's one of the complaints here, especially down in my area. I live down in the four-wheeler park area, and we ride out here. My son rides, my wife rides, everybody down the street rides. We're all young families down here with kids, and we like riding, and that's why we came out here. So, that's reality, folks. Look at if you move down here, I'm sorry, that was foolish. And some recommendations for the POA. If you're going to bring people in here to buy property, you should zone things for what they are. If anybody's going to buy down here in the lower bottoms, you should say, hey, that's a very active area for families. There's loud machines down there. And let folks know that if you go down there, we don't want to hear you complaining later. Things should be zoned a certain way to I guess, to get the wrong buyer, if they buy off Craigslist or they buy or acquire or are given some property and they don't know, it's just not good to have people that want to ride, that enjoy it, and then all of a sudden they have somebody that is a complainer or a crybaby or calls the police. Just not a good mix. So, POA, please listen to me on that. You should zone areas that are notorious for certain things, or if they're louder, younger families, that, anybody that's buying in that area, you should be able to pull it up, and then also, have them sign a disclosure or something saying, hey, that you're buying in an area that's very active and loud with these machines, or everybody that buys property should sign that, they acknowledge all those things so you don't have issues. But that's all I got for part one. We'll move on to the second here. Thanks for listening. This is Linn Valley Radio. My name is Collin Vaughn. I'm your host. I'm looking for your vote for the February 27th. I think that, I'm the right guy for what you're looking for the longevity of this community and making smart, business-minded decisions that allow the community to grow and allow property values to increase. So thanks for listening, and we'll have part two up here just shortly.